What's the best way to keep your car running in cold weather? Have those gift cards in your pocket expired or lost value? Do you need a vacation but are nervous about travel scams? Stay tuned for the next episode of Consumer Compass, where we'll guide you through these consumer issues and more. Welcome to Consumer Compass. I'm Eric Friedman, Director of Montgomery County's Office of Consumer Protection. Our mission here at OCP is to ensure integrity in the marketplace. We do that by enforcing consumer protection laws and educating consumers. We have a team of investigators ready to help. Our offices are located in Rockville, Maryland. In today's show, we're on the move, in cars, at the mall, and on vacation. First, our automotive expert Jim Parks tells us how to winterize our cars and keep them running smoothly.
Is pre-mixed for the winter, you just don't dilute it when you put it in.
Back at the office, Administrator Evan Johnson explains hidden fees and charges in gift cards. Next, we'll head over to the shopping mall where Investigator Joy Matthews clarifies the law regarding refund policies and defective merchandise. Then we'll highlight some travel scams to avoid when you go on vacation. Well, we all know that the cold weather makes existing car problems worse. How do we keep our cars from breaking down? I met with Investigator Jim Parks outside the Consumer Protection Office to get the answers. Hey Jim, thanks for joining us on Consumer Compass. You know, we're very fortunate to have you as an automotive expert in our office, and I know you get all the technical questions. So I was hoping you can give us the jump start on how to prepare our cars for winter.
Sure. Well, the first place to start, because it's the most problematic, is the battery. Most batteries will do fine through the summer, but when they're really challenged in the winter is when you'll have difficulty. What you want to look for is around the battery terminals. Make sure that you don't have corrosion on either side. If you do, you can clean that with a mixture of baking soda and water. Just make sure that you rinse it very, very thoroughly because it is acid. And you want to make sure that you rinse it off of all of the body panels too. You might also invest in some gloves. Even the Playtex rubber gloves that you get for cleaning the house are fine, but the acid on your skin is not a good combination either. The other thing you want to make sure of is that the battery is still within its service life, generally 4 to 5 years. If you have a 6 or 7 year old battery, you're probably expecting trouble this season. Most retail facilities that sell batteries will be happy to test yours for you free, so take advantage of that. And it's not just dealerships, it's anybody that sells batteries.
That's good to know. There's nothing worse than breaking down the highway. Once you're under the hood, what's the next thing you're going to look for after the battery?
Well, the next thing that you want to make sure you take very careful note of is your engine oil. You want to make sure that it's clean, it's been changed per the interval. You want to make sure that you look at your owner's manual. Most oil is either going to be an orange or a red dipstick, and you want to just give it a good wipe. Make sure the engine's been sitting still for more than 5 minutes. And as you can see, this level is probably about a quart low. It's also a little dirty, so she might want to think about getting an oil change here very quickly.
I guess the oil is kind of like the lifeblood of the engine, isn't it?
Absolutely. And while you're thinking of what to put in your crankcase, there are a lot of very, very good synthetic oils out there, some of which have molecules that will attach to the internal engine components and actually ease the friction and help with enhanced engine life. Many cars are run 200, 300, 400,000 miles these days, and synthetic oil is one of the things that has helped that to happen. Again, you want to check your owner's manual for the proper oil change interval for your car, and not just go with the every 3,000 miles that a lot of people still believe. That was before the increases in engine technology and oil technology, and to change every 3,000 miles is to just put a lot of used oil and used oil filters into our landfills, which we really don't need.
Okay, now I guess it gets pretty hot in this engine, huh?
Yes, it does, even in the wintertime. The thermostat is a very good idea to make sure that you take a look at. Very difficult for you and I to test, but a professional can do that by putting different equipment on here that'll tell them how hot the engine is running. What you can do when your engine's cold is simply feel your hoses and just make sure that they're still soft and pliable. You'll see a couple going back to the heater, and of course the main ones here at the radiator. If they're very hard, very stiff, that's going to be an indication that they're ready to go, and they will go at the absolute worst opportune times, such as on 270 or the middle of the beltway in rush hour traffic. The next thing you want to take a look at is your coolant. And we have a very stubborn little cap on this coolant jar. But again, with the engine cold, you would simply open it, make sure that you can see some level of coolant in there. Most cars have an indicator on the side of the tank. Do not do this when the engine's warm, because you will have it blow up in your face, and hot coolant is not comfortable. Finally, while we're under the hood, the next thing you want to take a look at is your windshield washer solvent. In this case, the washer solvent has a little umbrella looking symbol on it. Most cars built in the last 10 years have some kind of an indicator like that. They haven't quite gotten to a universal language, but this one with the little umbrella is a pretty good hint. You want to make sure that you can see washer solvent in there. In this dark bottle, it's very difficult. But the thing you also want to make sure that you do is make sure that you put in a winter mix. Most windshield washer fluid that you buy is pre-mixed for the winter. You just don't dilute it when you put it in. Summertime you can dilute it a little bit, winter you don't want to.
Now I know, Jim, we want to keep the rain and snow off the windshield.
Right, and critical to doing that are the windshield wiper blades. You want to just take a look and make sure that they're soft and pliable. The other thing to keep in mind is when you're driving and there's a lot of road salt out there, when you get home, take a clean cloth with some Windex and wipe that salt off of the wiper blades so that it doesn't precipitate a little more deterioration than you really need. Again, you want to make sure that the blades are all in one piece. And if we take a look, this particular car has wipers on the headlights. And this is what a bad wiper blade looks like, where it's separating. And these won't do her any good whatsoever if she starts them up. In fact, that could even damage her headlights. So we don't want to use those. We want to get those replaced. Okay. Next thing we take a look at is the tires. On this particular tire, we have a lot of wear on the outside edges. The car probably needs a front end alignment, but you'll also see this cracking starting right here. It's going to be very quickly that we're going to have the steel cords of the tire showing through, and that will lead to a tire failure and a shredded tire on the side of the road, probably at rush hour. Next, you want to get a tire gauge. They're not expensive. You can get them at most auto stores. And once a month, you want to walk around the car and check your tire pressure. To find out how much the tire should have, the inside driver's door has a little placard on just about every car, and it tells you how much pressure should be in the tires. So you want to make sure that you keep them completely inflated. Years ago, there was an old wives' tale that when the weather gets bad, lower the tire pressure. Not anymore. Tires today are built to run at their stated tire pressure. Don't lower them just because the weather gets bad. And finally, it's a good idea to think about what you have in the gas tank. In the winter, particularly if it's going to be a very, very cold snap, you want to try to keep at least a half a tank of fuel in there. That minimizes the condensation that builds up in the fuel tank and minimizes your chances of having your fuel freeze. If we get into weather that's going to be consistently below about 15 degrees, you might want to consider fuel line de-icer. Just make sure that you get it for gasoline or diesel, depending on what kind of fuel your vehicle uses.
Okay, well that's great advice for keeping us on the road. Do you have any recommendations to what we should keep inside the car in case of an emergency?
It's a great idea, particularly in the winter, to carry, for example, a blanket, a bottle or two of water, and maybe some granola bars, something that won't go bad, that if you get stuck in traffic for several hours, you've got a little bit of something to eat so that you don't starve to death waiting for the road to free up and go on.
Okay, that's
All
great
right.
advice. I know consumers will be calling you in case they have a problem.
All righty. Take care.
Thanks. And don't forget about the new law to help keep us safe while on the road. Effective October 1st, texting while driving is illegal in Maryland. Virginia and the District of Columbia have similar laws. Okay, so whether you drive or walk to stores, you may run into some confusion when using a gift card. Consumers spend billions of dollars each year buying gift cards. It's a huge industry, but the rules, regulations, fees, and charges can be tricky. One major seller has been the news lately when it announced plans to stop charging user fees. Great, but that hasn't affected the fees being charged to use prepaid debit cards. Did you know the difference between these and gift cards? Here's Administrator Evan Johnson to sort it all out for us.
Well, it's not easy to precisely define. There's really two varieties. The first variety are store cards, or also more technically they're called closed-loop cards, and those are the gift cards that people are most used to. You buy them in a store, you put on maybe $50, you take it home, you can give it to anybody you want, and it's just like cash when they bring it in the store. They run it through and they get credited in the transaction, and you know, it can be a very nice gift. Here's an example. This is a gift card. What it looks like comes on a card there, and you can pick it out in different denominations, load it with money, and give it to whoever you want. Okay, well, the good thing about store cards or closed-loop cards is that in Maryland you can feel pretty good about them, because a few years ago the Maryland legislature passed a law that says there can be no fees, dormancy fees, what sometimes people, and they can't expire for at least 4 years from when you buy them. So that hopefully you can spend them in 4 years. That's a good thing. Now, some of them may charge, if you lose it and you have enough ID to get another card, it's possible they might charge you, but normally not, although it's not always easy to get another card issued. So those cards have a lot of advantages. Their value is not going to disappear. The issue is that you want to spend them fast, and in a bad economy, we've seen some stores disappear. You know, who would have thought that Circuit City was going to disappear, and people who had Circuit City cards, if they didn't spend them, they had to make a claim in bankruptcy and only get a little back for their card. Yeah, I've been asked whether you can turn in your gift card for cash like you could return other gifts. And generally, you know, it's up to each store, but the general rule is no. Although, you know, it doesn't hurt to ask if you get one. But generally not. They have your money, they want to keep the money, and they want you to redeem it in goods. Interesting, a couple states have laws like California that says when it's down to a certain level that they have to give you cash. And if you get it down to a few dollars, then they have to give you cash to cash out. But in general, they don't have to give you cash back. Well, gift certificates are just like gift cards under Maryland law. They're not allowed to expire until they're 4 years old from when they were purchased. There probably are some gift certificates out there from mom-and-pop businesses that have expiration dates shorter than that. So our advice to consumers that have those is that you go to the business and ask them if they'll honor it and do the right thing, and that there's a Maryland law that may say they have to, and if they don't, you should come to our office and file a complaint, and we'll try to straighten it out. Okay, the second type of gift cards we call bank gift cards, are also called open loop or prepaid cards. They may have the name of a bank or other business on, and they have the MasterCard, Discover, Visa, or logo. Here's one that has the Visa logo. And the advantage of these cards are that they can be used at many merchants, anyone that take the cards of that particular card company, Visa. That's what they have going for them. American Express is the biggest selling of these gift cards, and you can buy them in many stores, many grocery stores, etc. One of the major items with bank gift cards is that there are fees associated with them. First, there's normally a fee to buy the car above the value that's on the card. Secondly, they may impose a monthly fee at some point and start deducting if you continue to hold the card and haven't spent it all. And of course, and they also have expiration dates, although they may issue another card after the expiration date, but there is still an expiration date on them. The good news in bank gift cards is that the American Express card, the biggest selling one, just announced in September 2009, that they are eliminating the monthly fees, their dormancy fees, which I believe was $2.50 a month that they would deduct after the card was a year old. They are eliminating that not only for the cards that are sold after that date, but also for all the ones that are out there. They're eliminating that fee. So if you have an old American Express card that's not eaten away, it's still going to be good because those fees are going to go away, and we certainly give American Express credit for doing that, and we're hoping that some of the other cards follow the lead. Well, the related card to bank gift cards, open loop cards, is we're seeing a lot these days, and it's prepaid debit or credit cards. And they're more of a financial instrument than a bank card. They're reloadable, they're usable at ATMs. They have more, they're also called general purpose spending cards. But they're sold on the gift card rack or right next to the gift card rack. They just don't say gift card. And the catch of them, biggest catch, is that there's fees, more fees than any of the gift cards. There's a large fee to buy it. There's a reloading fee. The monthly fee lots of times is deducted right away. There's ATM fees, there's inactivity fees, there's any number of other fees. And if you're on a website, you need to read the disclosures. If you get one of these cards, you need to read the foldout that comes with it, because there are all sorts of fees that can eat these cards up. And obviously some have fewer fees than others, and if people are going to get one of these cards, that's what they have to be aware of. Well, what's attractive to the prepaid cards is people with bad credit can get them. I mean, you just need a little cash at some point to get one of these cards. It has the convenience of a spending card that, goes through the machines nice, and they give you ATM access. If you don't have a bank account, which is still a big problem, that a lot of people don't have bank accounts, it's a way to hold money in a convenient way, and that you're not, it's easier than cash. You don't want to carry too much cash with you. So these have attractiveness to a lot of people. Some people use them to control spending, because you should only be allowed to spend normally what is on the card. Unlike if you have a debit card tied to your bank account, they let you go over. With these, normally they don't. So it can control your spending. Those are all reasons why they're big, and sales of these were only a few $1 billion. Recently, they are projected to grow to something like $109 billion in just a few years. This is the growing part of the industry. These cards are going to be much bigger than bank gift cards. If they're not now, they will be shortly. Well, to sum up on cards, on gift cards, our advice is if you're giving to someone and you know they like a particular store, a store gift card is a good deal. You're not going to have any fees in Maryland for 4 years, and hopefully not ever. When you do have to be careful of is we tell those recipients to spend them fast, because you don't know when a store is going to go out of business. But that's fine. In terms of the bank gift cards, the American Express gift card looks like the best one right now, because they will not charge a monthly fee, but you do have to remember you pay extra for the conveniences of bank gift cards. But American Express looks like it is the standout one at the moment. Now, the prepaid debit cards, the whole animal, there's no easy advice, except you have to be really careful. Don't buy one of those. It's not a gift card. Don't buy it for a gift card, because it's going to get eaten away right away, and you need to read the fine print and do your homework on those even more than the other cards, because you could buy one of those and it'll be gone in a couple months if you don't know what you're doing. If you want to use one of those cards, you really have to research.
So that's gift cards and prepaid debit cards. If you need more information on this topic or any other consumer matter, check our webpage, or please feel free to contact our office by telephone or email or in person. Evan or Jim or one of our other skilled investigators will be glad to help you. Now we're going to take a little break, but when we come back, we'll start spending those gift cards and see what the policies are on returning merchandise. Stay tuned.
My dad is my hero. He goes into places people want to get away from. He makes everyone safe. But the best thing he can do is come home.
The U.S. Fire Administration reminds you to protect yourself and firefighters. Have smoke alarms on every level and near sleeping areas. Test them monthly. Change batteries as instructed. Install sprinklers. Do your part to get out before firefighters have to come in.
Mi papá es mi héroe. Entra a sitios donde la gente quiere escapar y los pone a salvo. Pero lo mejor que puede hacer cada noche es regresar a casa.
La Administración de Incendios de Estados Unidos le recuerda protegerse y proteger a los bomberos. Instale alarmas contra incendio en cada piso de su vivienda y cerca de los dormitorios. Pruébelas cada mes y cámbieles las pilas según las instrucciones. Instale aspersores de agua y haga un esfuerzo por salir de su vivienda antes de que los bomberos tengan que entrar.
Well, we're back, ready to clear up the confusion about store refund policies. Earlier, I met with Investigator Joy Matthews at the mall. Hi, Joy. I know you get a lot of questions from consumers when they want to return something they purchased. What is the law? Does the store have to take it back?
Good question, Eric. No, there is no law that the merchant has to accept return of any merchandise. Now, some stores do provide a store policy, a refund policy, or other store policies, and it's going to vary from store to store. Now, however, if they do have a store policy, they're required by law to post it in a sign visible in the store, on the product, or on the receipt. I would recommend certainly that if you go into the store and you don't see a return policy or any kind of store policy, to ask what that policy is. And certainly if you see it, read it, and do that prior to purchasing the merchandise.
Now, you mentioned a receipt. Do you always have to have a receipt to return something?
Yes, you do. Most stores will not accept the return of the merchandise or exchange it or even provide store credit if you don't have that receipt. So please be sure to keep a copy of all receipts.
And what about a time limit to return something? Do you have as much time as you want, or is there some limit usually?
Well, it's going to, again, that's going to vary from store to store. And yes, if the store provides a refund policy or any kind of policy, they must give you a time frame. But again, that's going to vary from store to store.
Now, I know consumers sometimes call you when they want to have to be told that they have to pay a fee for a big purchase that they're trying to return. Is that common?
Right, yes, that can be very common on larger merchandise, such as a mattress or some type of furniture. And what it is what's called a restocking fee. And that's going to vary from store to store. It'll be from 10 to 25%. And basically that fee is the cost the merchant incurs to be able to allow you to return that merchandise.
And you mentioned big products. What happens when a consumer wants to return a car? What do you usually tell them?
Well, Eric, that is one of our most popular questions that we receive at the Office of Consumer Protection. And no, you cannot return an automobile. In Maryland, you have what's called the Maryland Lemon Law, and that may allow certain remedies where you are able to seek the remedy of return of the vehicle or replacement of the vehicle or the repurchase price of the vehicle. Now, your vehicle has to qualify under certain parameters. It has to be under 15 months and 15,000 miles. It needs to be, you should have had a problem once with the brakes or steering, 4 times for the same repair, or it's been out of service for 30 days. Now, the law also requires that you do certain things as well. For example, you have to send a certified receipt letter to the manufacturer stating that you have a problem and giving them an opportunity to correct it. If you're still unsatisfied and those problems have not been corrected, then you're able to seek those remedies that we discussed. Eric, one more thing I want to mention about warranties. In terms of product warranties, some stores provide their in-house warranties, but they also provide manufacturer warranties. So it's a good practice to ask if that product has a warranty as well, because there are certain things that you have to do in order to activate that warranty.
Good to know. So our final segment today involves vacations. Are you ready for one? I am, but not too fast. I want to give you some tips about holiday scams and travel pitfalls first. As you know, education is your best defense. So let's go over some of the common problems and their solutions. First of all, most consumers make their travel arrangements online and are happy with the results. But the old adage still stands. If it looks too good to be true, it is. Watch for airlines and hotel deals that offer low ticket prices but then charge additional fees for other services. Stay away from the internet travel packages that require you to pay